Google. Let's go get him again.
Welcome back to the Robes Away channel. I'm your host, Mark, and welcome to an unboxing first impression video on my channel. Today, we are unboxing, not really, this is a tester. I think I got this at fragrancebuy.ca. These testers were around 130 Canadian, give or take. Great price. I think this was around, I'm trying to think like that. I think it was around when they were changing the whole line of the bottles and stuff. So I kind of snatched up some old design bottles here from Fragrance Buy. I think I have a couple more of these unboxings to do, testers basically. But this one right here is Amber Absolutely, which is one that really piqued my interest from the brand of Fort & Manley. Now this is my second bottle of the brand after purchasing 40 Thieves back in 2019. That was a blind buy. I feel was a successful blind buy. It kind of showed me the DNA of the fragrance brand. This again, of course, is another blind buy, so we'll see what I get out of this one. To note, of course, this bottle presentation was introduced back in 2016, I believe, and they re-released this when they changed the whole line in 2022. So your bottle, especially if you're going to buy it retail right away in stores, your bottle's not going to look like this. As far as the formulation, well, as you can tell, this is my first impression of the fragrance, so I don't know what the reform, the new bottle, is it reformulated? I do know the nose behind this fragrance. I think he had one formulation of this fragrance, then I think I read somewhere that he lost the recipe of Amber Absolutely, and then he had to redo it from scratch, adding a few things. I have no idea if this is that or what it is, but I'm assuming there's probably a couple reforms of this particular fragrance, if at all. So let's see what this is all about again. This name, not really, we're assuming we're gonna get an ambery fragrance, but the name just immediately brings me to the Tom Ford bestseller, Amber Absolute, or not the bestseller, but the, let's say it has a cult following, Amber Absolute. Really a great scent from Tom Ford, personally, a great amber. It could be your staple amber, basically. So we're gonna see what we get out of this. It has some fruity notes in the top note when I was looking at this one, plum and black currant. So a purple hue perhaps out of this fragrance. So let's see what we get out of this release. Let's delve into it. And finally, the caps are really, like these old bottle presentations, I've never seen the new ones live, we'll say, but I've seen pictures of them online and things like that. I'm really a fan of these old square bottles with the plaques, personally, and it just has a lot of detail. Like I'm looking at the bottle here, and it's an extrait de parfum. It even has, a little story on the plaque here, tons of detail. I'm going to spray it on a strip first, and let's see what we get. Obviously, this has been sprayed before because it's straight out of the atomizer here, and I did smell the fragrance. Like when I got it, I went like this, and I could smell a little bit of it. And yeah, it has a certain air of something I wasn't expecting. Was a dustiness to the fragrance. It definitely has that purple hue. The plum comes in very much primary in this introduction. Very much a purple hue with an, let's say, a dusty ambery glow in the back end. It definitely has some thickness, some density to the fragrance. But let's put it on skin. This is gonna be my scent of the day, obviously. We're gonna go hard with the atomizer. Why not? I've had this bottle for at least a year and a half now, just sitting here waiting for this video. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm getting a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot. On skin, it has a thinness to it that you can start smelling the different notes. And so what I get here, it's definitely has a purple hue. So black currant, plum, they're both obviously purple. It really has that. I would say the plum is primary, the black currant is in the back end. Again, Enchanted Forest is the black currant king, and This is not touching it, but I've smelled some plum-like fragrances, and I say that lightly, that don't really have a plum note, you know, primary, like a strong purple hue, and this does. But there also, like I was saying, there's like a slight dustiness to this fragrance, and it has some darkness. So it goes into my wheelhouse that if you're going to do a fruity fragrance, and I don't mind them being thin or, you know, summer or spring type fragrances, which has a thinness to them. But I prefer fruity notes that are up top of a bed of darkness, amber, woods, oud, leather, something interesting, and this is where this is going. Ooh, it has a jammy rose back in it. Yeah, so it has some dryness, it has some dustiness, it has that ambery base, but, and I'm guessing in the back end it's going to get more ambery because it really is focusing on the top notes here, which is a good thing. You know, it's not an amber absolute where the amber is right there at the start. And I'm not saying it's not there, but it really is lots of that plum, that blackcurrant, and then there's a rose in here that is front and center actually. And then there's an ambery glow in the back end of it, and there's a slight dustiness, a dryness. I almost feel like saying it's wine-like, and you know, jammy rose could kind of do that. Like, I'm not saying it's boozy, but it has like a red hue. It has some earthy qualities as well. There's definitely some complexity here. The sweetness is not a, you know, ambers can go highly vanillic, and I believe there's benzoin in here, which would, you know, benzoin can give you a caramel hue, which is, I think it's more into that section, but not as gourmand as you would think, not as sweet. This is really going into that Middle Eastern vibe of a ambery fragrance, what we used to call an oriental. So it's an ambery fragrance, but it doesn't go into that vanillic. I can smell some powderiness, but I don't know if it's going to go, you know, full boatload of powderiness, which amber can do. There's a lot of rose in here. The rose in here has some, and maybe that's where I'm getting this earthy aspect, it has some greenness. Yeah. The fruity hue is really, really nice, and I don't know if it's going to stay the whole fragrance. Usually they don't, but the purple aspect of this fragrance is what is really interesting personally for me. But it has that dark glow to the fragrance. So there's a lot of complexity. There's some sweetness, some fruity aspects, some earthy aspects, some resinous aspects here too. Not heavily resinous, but the dustiness and the resins here really are, you know, it's not, you know, I wouldn't really compare this to an Amber Absolute from Tom Ford. This has, it's almost in a different subsection. It's not a, from this first sniff, it's not a straight up amber fragrance, if you know what I mean. It has that complexity. There's a lot of different notes. Amber is your backbone, and I think you're going to get a lot more amber in the back end, but a lot of fruity nuances, and that rose is your introduction. If I had to say, that's your introduction of this fragrance. Really, really nice, honestly. You know, I don't know how much push this fragrance has. Like, I know there's a lot of competition in the amber genre, and ambers, I like my ambers big and bold, like my leathers, my tobaccos, and certain notes like that. I do like some boldness to the fragrances and some push to the fragrances. So it's almost oversaturated that you can find so many ambers that will push and make a big bold splash, and you're gonna smell it and you're gonna enter the room and it's gonna knock the doors off. I don't feel like this is gonna have that push. And that's an educated guess on performance. We're gonna see in a test drive how much performance this thing has, but yeah, I really like the rose plum. The black currant has a small, minute portion of this fragrance, but there is almost like a, I don't want to say boozy, that's the wrong word, like a resinous ambery glow. Obviously there's labdanum in here and benzoin. That caramel-like hue would be in there. Some powdery aspects. So an interesting amber, yes, not a straightforward amber like an amber absolute. I think that is more straight up amber. This is more of a complex scent that has a lot of different moving parts. I really like the plum in this introduction. You can't miss it. Yeah, now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. Good, bad, or the ugly. If you do own a new bottle of this, an old bottle like I do, love to see your take in regards to it. And as always, a great or poor fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your amber-based fragrance wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.